The business landscape is changing quickly, and with good reason. With rapidly evolving technologies, a warming planet, and societal structures being pushed to their limits, businesses need to implement innovative thinking in order to offer intuitive, engaging, and sustainable products. Digital Society School prepares trainees for this future by connecting the aspiring leaders, mainly graduated master's and PhD students, with real-life clients in order to produce effective technological solutions that operate in harmony with the needs of our society and the planet. At the end of the DSS program, trainees leave confident to promote positive social change within their future organizations, equipped with the knowledge of available technology, experience working with the Sustainable Development Goals, and the ability to research, design, and propose meaningful solutions in a variety of contexts. Together with our willpower, we can imagine and create the world we want to live in.
Welcome everybody to the DSS Showcase! Yay! Of course, we are in a space together, our clubhouse as we call it, the DSS Clubhouse. And we're so proud to welcome you here because it's the first time, to be honest, in a year that we are here. But we also have an online audience, so I'm directing myself to you, online audience. Also welcome to the show. Just a round of applause for the online audience. Yeah. They are following us on Hopin. That's our go-to platform at the moment for online events. So we're really excited to do this hybrid event, and hopefully we can also interact with them later on. So welcome to the DSS Showcase. And as I state here, we are celebrating transformation design. And some of you already know what that is, but some of you don't. Transformation design really stands for the process of design in order to create meaningful impact. And then I would like to have a closer look at transformation. And transformation is also built up in two words, trans and formation. Trans stands for the change, and the formation stands for the form, the form that is changing. However, this is not deliberate. It's a process that is natural. However, sometimes if we want to change and make change and have sustainable impact on the world, we need to direct our efforts towards this transformation. And how do we do that? And we do that by design. So design is the deliberate action to create. And that's why we call it transformation design. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. Hop in audience. You can also interact with the chat with our moderator Jeroen, who is also there. He has corona, so he's bound to home, which is handy. So he could be the moderator. How you doing? Feel better, hopefully. If you want to transform and do transformation design, obviously the field of design is under a lot of turmoil, just as the planet. We need to change. We need to also change design education. How do you do that? It's because you do that by also transforming the design field itself, the design discipline. So how do you then change the design discipline? That starts here in Digital Society School. That's what we would like, at least. Irene, is that the 1 minute call? Thank you. So I would like to mention a few quotes, because we have a very wonderful podcast that I'm hosting with Carola Verschoor, who's also a transformation designer. And we talk to transformational leaders. And we ask them, what are you ready for in the future? What needs to change? And how are you leading that change? And I would like to take two quotes from that. First of all, Ruud Priester. He is one of our esteemed colleagues. Most designers are in fact not designers, he states, because they are working in the current or old economic models. And designers solve problems. And the old economic models are in fact the problem. Think about that. And so if designers currently are not designers, what are they then? And what do we need? Second quote from Celiana Camargo Borges. She's an Imagineering designer. Our focus on fixing things binds us from the process, which is inherently part of transformation. Like I stated, the process. So our solutionism is actually leaving us with no other option than doing it differently. Because if we want to solve things, we should not revolt to solutionism. Just two examples. Recently, there was this headphone that I saw that was launched, and it had some kind of weird-looking mask in front of it, and it would also give you clean air. So you would have a headphone on so that you get clean air. Similar project from Daan Rozengaarde. He's an artist, a designer, and he created a bike which had a filter in front of it, so that while you were biking in polluted areas, it would, breathe out this kind of clean air. That's really solutionism. So it only focuses on the problem at hand and the technology that you can use. But do you want that kind of bike? Do you want that kind of mask face? Or is there something else that you want to change? Do you want to change the system? Do you really want to transform something? Electrical vehicles. Why don't we think of not having cars, right? That's solutionism, and that's going against solution, and that's transformation design. So I have a few esteemed guests I invited. So first of all, a big round of applause for Frank Resin. Frank is the Dean of the Faculty of Digital Media and Creative Industries, which we are proudly part of. Then we have Ger Jansen. Ger is Principal Scientist at Philips, and he's also a proud partner. At least we are very proud of you. I don't want to speak for you, but we're both very proud. Yeah. And Olina Terzi, you can hear the audience. She was part of the DSS for many years and left us, unfortunately, but she moved on to become an innovation consultant for Deloitte Digital. So really nice. Welcome, three of you. I wrote down a few questions that I have on transformation for you. And the first one I would like to ask to you, Frank, because you're our dean, of course. So it's important to start with you, also for our jobs and the hierarchy here. No. But also because you have tremendous ideas on what you think needs to change. So what are you doing in your current job, and what do you think needs to be done in terms of what I just stated, transforming these systems?
I think, first of all, transformation entails that you break down the boundaries of your own imagination. And the fact is, you can never do that alone, because you're inside of your worldview and mindset. So you have to bring people together to come up with new ideas. But before they can do that, they have to break down the limits of their own thinking. Mm-hmm. And that's why we, as a HVA, sponsor places like these, where that actually happens. And that shows us the way forward for education. It shows a way forward for research, and it shows a way forward for impact in society that we want to have.
Wonderful, yeah.
And maybe the second thing is then, first, when you break down the limits of your own imagination, then you have to break down resistance, because the existing systems are so strong that they just want to perpetuate themselves into like eternity. And it takes, I think, stamina and courage and just breaking down the walls. And an attitude of maybe even activism to be able to make a dent. And what I really hope is that we and you are nurturing people that want to make that dent and that dare to be activists and then break down those walls.
Yeah, fantastic statements, and round of applause, because that's why we exist, because of this. So you are really nurturing this space also because of it. But then I'm going to ask and go to Ger, because you're of course part of the corporate world. If you listen to what Frank is mentioning, how do you look at that from the corporate perspective and from your personal perspective, perhaps?
I recognize several things, because if you, a little bit context, Philips is constantly transforming, basically. And 2016 was the last big transformation, going to healthcare. But then if you are in healthcare, you also have different transformational streams, I would say. First of all, inside our company, we are very technology savvy, but technology savvy will not help healthcare, to be honest. So we need to transform ourselves in multiple directions. I will explain that in a moment. Then if you look at the healthcare world, also that is in transformation. And the most recent example is, of course, the corona crisis, where e-health is more popular now because then on a distance you can or interact with patients or monitor patients without having the danger of being infected with COVID.
Right.
So, and healthcare is very conservative, so that accelerated that transformation. And then the third part is also, if you look at our stakeholder field, that has changed dramatically. And in first instance, we were focusing on clinicians, but clinicians is only one part of the ecosystem. So it's also transformation in who is your customer, because it's a mix. These are clinicians, these are the chief information officers of a hospital, these are insurance companies, these are regulatory bodies, etc. So multiple transformation streams at the same time. And by the way, there's never a beginning or an end, it's constantly changing.
Right. This is interesting, and I think then Deloitte is a nice bridge to Deloitte. I think, Olina, if you look at Deloitte, which is more, it doesn't really have the technology or the hardware focus, but it's, okay, sorry, correct me there, correct me there. But perhaps, you're an innovation consultant, which is very much focused on the process. And from that perspective, how do you then look at what you just heard on transformation and what needs to change, and perhaps even also what you learned here or what you did here?
I hear a lot of walls being brought down, and I think that's one of the key points for every transformation. And what we see in all of the clients that I've seen through Deloitte is that silos are the one and only obstacle. Not only, but the main obstacle for any kind of transformation. Because in order to transform, you have to know also where are you going, why are you going to your new self, let's say. So you need a good strategy to be certain that I'm going towards the right direction with my transformation, but that we are all part of it. And it's a co-creative process where everyone involved has a say and has their opinion heard. And I think that's the problem that exists in the industry.
Right.
It's very hard to bring all the minds together. And then also there's a danger of trying to transform too much at once. So you need to take it in steps, being iterative, experiment on the way, not do it all, and not see it as a big giant that, oh, I have to transform as an organization. How do I do it? Let's do it all at once, because that won't work. Because it's about people. And the human factor is in the center of it all. So it has to be a very human-centric process.
This is wonderful, and I recognize a lot of what we worked on together, so that's nice to see. Are there any statements from the audience that we have here that you would like to mix in or hear from any of these guests? Otherwise, I'll just move on. How am I doing in time, Irene? 2 minutes, okay, great. So, Dear Future, I'm Ready. This is our slogan, you might say. We have a podcast that is called like that. We soon have a festival which is called like that, or at least has a meaning towards that. And we always ask the guests in the podcast, can you repeat the sentence, Dear Future, I'm Ready, and also finish it? If I ask you, Olina, start with you. If you have to finish Dear Future, I'm Ready, what are you most ready for then?
Dear Future, I'm ready to explore, to experiment and discover my new self.
Big round of applause for Olina. Thank you so much. Ger, how would you finish that?
I will not match that. Dear Future, I'm ready to transform healthcare to go into preventive care instead of solving direct problems.
No solutionism in healthcare. Great. Big round of applause for Ger. Frank.
Yeah, well, dear future, I'm ready to break down the boundaries between the different educational programs at HVA and the boundaries between research and education, because they're really profound, and I think only by combining them we can prepare students and our staff for the future and have a meaningful impact on society.
Wonderful. Round of applause for Frank and for all the guests. Thank you so much. You can...
We can sit in front.
So obviously, just going to stand for a moment. Obviously, this is a celebration not only of the DSS in general and of transformation design, but it's a celebration of our trainees and their work. So our trainees, they spend 20 weeks in an intense program working with our lovely partners on challenges that relate to the SDGs, to the Sustainable Development Goals, to technology, to design, to societal issues. And we are very proud that everything you see here was made by them and was also put here by them. So I invite you to explore the work, but first of all, I'm also going to invite them to the stage. First of all, we're going to see some teasers before we see them on stage. The first team is Team Fashion. Yes.
The clothing industry is the third biggest polluter. Clothes are killing the planet. The planet is dying. Clothes are killing the planet.
The planet is dying.
Fast fashion is killing us.
Stop. It's time for change.
Fast fashion is killing us. Clothes are killing the planet. The clothing industry changed. Will you be responsible for the dying planet? We need to stop. Please get circular. We need sustainability. Fashion companies need to become circular. Loopholes is the answer. Fashion companies only say they are circular. They need to play loopholes and poles.
Come play with us.
It's time for change.
Come play with us.
Help them. Play loopholes. Play loopholes. Play loopholes.
Come play with us.
I hope you're not too afraid to visit their booth now. Come join the stars on stage. Subu, Dilara, and Troy. Troy is a lecturer here at the HVA, and he's our partner. So first I start with, of course, you ladies. You were in the team. You were learning, you were working, you were doing everything that everybody's going to see here. But what is it that you take away from this experience? Can I ask you first?
Okay, I think it was a very new experience. I came into it not knowing what to expect, and over the 20 weeks, it's really shaped to be something that I couldn't even have imagined. I met people from all over the world. We worked on this really interesting project that I virtually had no idea about before I joined. So yeah, it was a really fun experience, and I'm really excited to show you guys what we came up with.
And where you're originally from?
I'm from India, and I study at the University of Amsterdam, and I'm writing my thesis also on this project.
Yes, nice.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And perhaps you can already explain
Yes,
before you, but perhaps what did we see? I mean,
You see
The
a parody
Shining,
of
right?
The Shining,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
We are a big fan of The Shining, and the Come Play With Us scene, it triggered us, and we thought maybe we can also use it in this game. And we hopefully you come and play with us at our booth. We are the booth with the mannequin there, the Sustainable Fashion Group.
I saw some acting talent, eh?
Especially
talent.
thanks to
Yeah.
Naj, and we saw the facial expressions.
So, how was the experience for you, if you have to reflect on it?
The best part is actually my team, because we started as teammates, colleagues, and then we became so good friends. We are coming from so different backgrounds, and I think we put that in our project, and that made the project really valuable for us.
Nice. So I just asked, can you take something away with you? But can you take with you the friends? Is that possible?
Of course, but other than that, I think the best thing that I will take away is actually the knowledge about sustainability, and because we are hearing sustainability, sustainable fashion all the time, but right now in this project, I feel like I'm in it right now, and I learned it better now, and I will take that away.
That's a great bridge to Troy, because I think you're of course partnering up with us here.
Indeed.
So can you explain a little bit more on what the partnership was and what you learned from it?
Sure. I came to this partnership as the head of the 3D Knit Field Lab, part of the ClickNL initiatives on field labs to really bring research into society. And as Frank said, this is a really great opportunity to bring research and education together to see what it really means to put those two together and have people other than yourselves in research practically do it. And so the research was really looking at sustainability and circularity, and what does that actually really mean? Because these exist in systems, and we're not great at working with systems. Yeah. So having Bamboo and Delaria and Subu and Natch build a game that's a serious design game that's very open-ended, which is not the easiest game to build, but to build a game that helps people understand their company, their goals in a systemic point of view that can lead to circularity was a really interesting and unique opportunity. And it was really good having people from all over the planet coming together and figuring out how this could work for a larger group of people. We started with a group of knitwear companies that have been part of our 3D knit field lab, but I really see the game as growing into something that many industries and many companies can use to understand how to use data and how to make their company circular.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on stage, because I get the sign that we are out of time. Where do they go for your booth?
To the mannequin.
Right behind you.
And for the online audience, where do they find you there? Under what name?
Sustainable fashion.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. And we'll see you. So, gonna welcome the next team while we have a look at their teaser. Team Heat Resistant Cities.
Oh hey, how are you?
Hey.
I recently had a pleasurable time today. How was your day? Well, things didn't go as well as you had. I have been having some problems under the effects of the heat stress. Sorry to hear that. But what if I told you that you possess the power to change it? Okay, I am listening. Let's meet at Digital Society School on the 15th of June and I'll show you how. I'm sending you the link now. Cool. Let's see.
Great. Yes. So, already joined me on the couch is Rina, in the middle, Clinton, and Anna.
Yes.
So, welcome, three of you. First, of course, I start with you, with the team. What did we see? There was a conversation between the future and the present.
Yeah, so what you saw there was like a digital twin of two different worlds. So John, one of our teammates, was communicating with himself from the future, and he was describing how better the world was when he did some amazing things, and he would tell him how he did that to make his own world better. So that was the communication between two different worlds.
And you came to the DSS from where?
From Nigeria.
Nigeria. And
yeah.
how was the experience for you? What are you taking home?
It was awesome. It was great that I got to meet a lot of people from different parts of the world and learn from them and see things from different perspectives. So it was a great experience. And here I learned that when designing, you don't just think about human-centered. You also think about, you have to care about nature, trees, even things, even buildings, insects, and stuff like that. So it was like a good opportunity to learn that.
Right, it broadened your view.
Yeah,
wonderful.
yes, exactly.
Thank you. Irina,
yes.
Also welcome. What are you taking home?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the experience of collaborating with multi-stakeholders. We are a university, and we have a municipality of Amersfoort, and also the consulting energy consulting company Tao as our partners. So I really enjoyed collaborating with public sector and also cooperating sector. So back in my country, I'm from Japan. The design thinking way is still quite new and not really familiar for the public sector, but I really saw a lot of possibility to broaden it to the public sector.
Nice. So you're bringing that home to Japan.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thank you. Anna, you work at the municipality of Amersfoort, where I grew up. So that's nice. Lovely city. How was it for you to work with this team? Because of course they're not from Amersfoort, so all over the world.
Yeah, they're not from Amersfoort, and I'm from Amsterdam, so that's
there you go.
It all comes
worldwide.
Together. It was really nice to start at nothing and come somewhere in 20 weeks. As a city, we actually participated as well in the previous semester, so we had some experience in the heat-resistant cities process. But it's really cool to have a design a product after the 20 weeks. Yeah.
So you're very happy. Are we going for a third? This is the moment I can ask you.
It was a really cool process and a really cool design. And actually now we're having a like human technology in which we show bigger environmental and social problems. In a small design created by the team. Yeah.
And apart from the solution, and we have to round up, but has it also helped you in transforming perhaps the municipality or part of it or your department that you work in?
Well,
is there a conversation that started or sparked?
Yeah, but it's still difficult. We focus mainly on our public space, and the path we took was more inside the houses, where it's a really big issue and heat stress inside of houses. Right. But that's also in municipalities still discuss: is it our job to say something about living quality inside the houses, or just do we stay with the public space?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Where do they go for your booth?
Yeah. The first room by your right. This way. The first room from the entrance. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
It's a lovely space.
Yeah,
it looks very cozy.
Yeah.
So go there. It doesn't look hot at all.
Come and here. Yeah. Come and too.
And online, where can they find you? Heat resistant cities?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Online also. To be honest, the trainees also went to the studio for a full day, recorded an amazing clip and video for the online audience. Yeah. So they're also being tailored to.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you too.
Team Heat Resistant Cities. Okay, up next, Team Dutch Spark. Let's have a look at their teaser, and I'm gonna welcome to the stage also Mercy, Shreya, and Esther Boudewijns.
The global community is faced with a choice to keep our beautiful Earth safe from carbon emissions. When reducing isn't enough, we can turn to carbon offsetting. When looking for reputable carbon offsets, we are often bombarded with data. It can feel a little like dating, swiping left and right in search of something reliable. In a digital age, how can we make sustainable choices with different sources of information?
Wonderful. Yeah. So, really nice. And did you take a flight for that? No. Okay, I want to start with you, Esther, this time. Dutch Spark. It sounds like something that could be anything, but what is it exactly, and why did you work with us?
The Dutch Spark is the Dutch Spark for Clean Cooking Solutions. It's a network of 11 organizations that are all working on cleaner cooking solutions in low and middle income countries. So globally, 2.6 billion people still cook on open fire, and that's that has a large impact on their health, but also on the environment, climate, gender equality. So we're working together as a Dutch Spark to accelerate the transition to cleaner cooking solutions in low and middle income countries. And because we are generating quite a lot of impact, we were kind of struggle with the question, how can we kind of show to people the reliability of the impact data? So how can we convince our carbon credit buyers or impact buyers or investors that we really make this impact? So that was the question for our team, which was quite broad and vague. So it was a real challenge for the team, but I think they did really well.
And did you get new questions? Because answers are not always everything. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
Did it raise new questions for you?
I think it raised a new insight for me. So in the beginning, we were really focused about on the reliability of the data. So for example, it was more on the methodology of measuring. And the team came up with the question, what about buyer confidence? So if a buyer has confidence or trust in an organization, maybe that's enough, or that's even more important. So that was a really new insight for me. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it sounds really logical, but yeah.
All insights are logical in hindsight. So thanks. Shreya, how was the experience for you? What are you taking home?
Hi, I'm Shreya, and
Hello.
and I'm from India. I'm a product designer. For me, I think the whole experience was very relevant. I mean, our partners are DutchSpark is a Dutch consortium who's kind of tackling a global climate crisis, and they are supporting a community. They try to tackle it by supporting a community in developing countries. So they are already doing work across cultures, and for me to be part of this project, working on such different stakeholders, working in a multidisciplinary team, it was completely an enriching experience as a designer and individual.
Nice.
To co-create, find opportunities together to fail and to win. Yeah.
And those new questions, are you also taking them home?
They were for them.
Okay. Well, that's fair. How was it for you?
Okay, hello.
And where did you come from?
Okay, hello. My name is Masi and I come from Kenya. So somebody who has a background in agriculture and sustainability, I think hearing the word design was a bit like, oh, what's that? But I came in with an open mind, and I think this is going to be a very memorable experience. I got to co-create, exercise my co-creativity with the team. I got to meet stakeholders and partners, and I think it's been really enriching. Also working with a multidisciplinary team, everybody comes from a diverse background with different perspectives. Sometimes in a multidisciplinary team, you may not speak the same language, although you are talking about the same thing. So in the end, you are able to learn how to communicate with each other and work together, co-create with stakeholders. I think that's really also fulfilling. And to this end, now we come with a lot of questions, but we were able to narrow down and decide on one thing. And I think it's also good to be able to do something that both is within our capability, at the same time to meet the stakeholders' needs. I think that was good. Yeah.
So nice. Where do they go for your booth?
So you're welcome to our booth in the boardroom, where you can experience our prototype, the project artifacts.
We also have a clean stove, some kinds of fuel. You can touch them, you can snap a photo, but we are not going to cook. So there's no cooking today. But you're welcome.
We do some fake cooking. Great.
Oh, yes.
Thanks so much. Wonderful. So, how are we in time, Irene? Yes? Great. Thumbs up. So, I just forgot to ask a question to the online audience, because what I've heard a lot also is that they are creating solutions, but at the same time, they really dive deep into the problems at hand. So, we always have this saying where we say we have to fall in love with the problem first, not the solutions. So, solutionism is out of the question at the beginning at least. And we also do that in our Global Goals Jam, which is a worldwide event that we host every year. We started it 6 years ago. We grew up until 100 cities all around the world. Well, you've seen also almost the 100 cities already on the couch, but this is what it's all about. So really falling in love with the problem together, where it's about empathy in action, as we call it, where you try to get people on the same page around the problems before you start thinking about solutions. So the question to the audience online is, what problem have you fallen in love with, and are you looking to solve? So think about it. I'll come back to you later and see if Irene can translate it back to me. So now I would like to welcome to the stage Ivy Gomez, Ivy, and Anneke van Woerden, our very own ladies of learning. So, obviously, we've seen a lot of learning. We've heard a lot about learning already, but I would like to introduce this first. because the HVA is focused on 3 different D's, as we call them. Digital transformation, diversity, and duurzaamheid, which means sustainability in Dutch. And in order to really transform these topics, education, rightfully said by Frank already, has a huge role. So learning is at the heart of change and transformation we see. And I would like to ask and talk to you about learning communities, because the word community also falls a lot when we talk about learning. So when you learn together, like I just mentioned, especially globally, how do you then form a community? How do you then become a platform of learning? And Anneke, you have been involved with us for many years, also when we started the Global Goals Jam that I just introduced. You were actually kind of the I don't want to say something about your age, but the grandmother, the mother earth, the mother nature for Global Goals Jam. You were the go-to person, so you actually carried that community really well. And I just want to also congratulate you on that, because you're sadly leaving us for a new challenge. But big round of applause for Anneke, because I think that community wouldn't have been that community without you. So just want to give some extra attention that you didn't know that I was going to do that. But perhaps we can talk about it later also. So if you talk about this global learning community, and your next job is actually again about creating a learning community or learning experiences for people who are guides in nature, I think, nature guides.
Yeah.
And so if you look at creating a learning community that you did kind of with the Global Goals Jam, what do you think needs to, what are the challenges, you might say, of having that learning community? Is it at all possible to have a global community? And also, how do we translate that back to your next job for nature guides, which is actually more focused on the Netherlands?
True, yeah. Still on a national level, so there will be challenges there. There are definitely challenges that I think we encountered in the Global Goals Jam. One is, I think, has to do with the balance between creating something bottom-up versus top-down, and how much rules you give or how you create a culture that is shared by everyone in the community. Without saying we are the ones that think it should go this and this way, and you need to follow us. I think we had a value in the Global Goals Jam of really co-creating and giving people the space, and we had to do that as well because it was global, but also then you also need to balance out what people do locally, because us saying from here, in Japan you need to design like this, or I think it's best to do it that way. We didn't want to do it, and I don't think that makes sense either. And there were definitely challenges there. So how do you make sure that everybody has the space to do it the way they want to do it and put in their identity and values and local problems and issues and methodology without having a very dispersed and disconnected community as a result? And I think also creating something that, because you need a little bit of guidance, to give a little bit of guidance in that sense. You can't really say, we provided a toolkit for people to do their thing, but still also culturally some people would really look at us, are we supposed to do it like this? Some people said we want to do it our way. So there's this sort of really flexibility you need to have, but also sometimes to really take the lead and say, this is what we're first going to do to create a culture. And to make sure that something is there that can then grow and thrive, and there needs to be a basis first, I think.
So shared culture is the key word in that sense.
Yeah, I think so. The co-creation that has been mentioned before here in a different way, but definitely was key.
And can a shared culture live on a platform? Across all of these borders, is that at all possible?
I think part of it can live there.
You can be honest here.
No, I think specific parts can live there, like use it for documentation or output, as we also discussed. But the actual work that's being done is being done in the here and now and not on the platform. So there's also a tension always there, also in the Global Goals Jam, that within the weekend people would do their thing and create their thing, and it would be really nice. And then afterwards, the energy on the platform is very different than in a space like this, for example. So that's a challenge, but I think certain types of the culture can definitely live there, because it's you need to figure out which thing goes where and with what kind of purpose, I guess.
So this learning community was very much focused on sustainability, one of the Ds.
Yep.
And then the other Ds, one of them is diversity. Ivy, you've been part of this very diverse environment here at the Digital Site School, but also now your next gig is going to be in Berlin, where you're going to focus on getting more women in tech. It's very much focused on diversity, also other groups, to be honest. So we were chatting yesterday, I think, about this and all of the challenges that you also see. So we have this group that is actually coming together almost naturally through the program that they share. But if you talk about getting more women in tech or other groups of underprivileged or under groups that are not really seen, I don't know, if you have a certain personality, it doesn't really say so on your passport. So how do you find those people without having to do it naturally or encountering them? How do you create a community out of that, you know?
I think one step to do that is really making sure that people know that that community exists, that you're welcomed. So the company I'm going to work at is called We Are Xena, where they focus closing the gender gap in tech or in STEM field in general. So they do that through different ways. For example, the actual recruitment per se to find these, let's say, women, but also, let's say, queer community, get them into the jobs, but especially make sure that they get like C-level positions or get senior roles, where that usually is what happens, that they get stuck in the junior level, or actually through events or communities. So if they know that this exists, that they want to be part of, it actually gets the conversation started, because they will feel more comfortable to talk about. So if you know that it's normal to fight for equal pay and you talk with other people, the conversation is going to change and become more normalized and more comfortable to talk about difficult topics such as, you know, pregnancy leave, or are you technical enough, or do you have the right amount of experience, and fighting imposter syndrome, for example.
And what's the tension between having KPIs where you have to just, you know, get a quota or something of a certain type of people versus education or learning? Why don't we learn that this is just normal or just the way to go? There's a tension there, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think on one hand, education plays a big role, because little girls, when they think of engineers, at the moment it's really happening like a male figure, a male image. So part of what is going to be done at Xena is that they do workshops, also events to get them introduced to the topic earlier, to see that it's also fine if you're a girl, you can be part of the STEM community.
Is there a question from the online audience, or? Oh, you move on. But this was actually what we agreed on, that it was a question from the audience online. Yeah, that's
a lot of questions, a lot of thinking.
The sign language was not really well thought of. Okay, moving on then. Thank you so much for this conversation. And what it shows, I think, is that you're moving on to different places, but they have so much overlap with what we do. So I really hope that we can work together and keep working together.
Of course.
Yes. So big round of applause for Ivy and Anneke. Are there any questions from the audience online? Yes, please. Irene.
So the problems that people are falling in love with is learning how to teach by showing instead of telling, by our Jeroen Groeneveld, which I feel like is also a problem that I am very much involved with, and we love to explore here. And Marilyn Mohausen says, for me the issue that is close to my heart is disability inclusion in the workplace, as there are so many social, cultural, technological, and sometimes also legal barriers. She dreams of a fully inclusive world where everyone has more choices and opportunities, and a disability for a knowledge worker is no longer a barrier. So someone's working really hard to gain this place.
It sounds like the online environment is very intelligent.
Would you like to know who's watching us?
Yes, please.
We have people from the Netherlands, India, Italy, Turkey, Belgium, and 14 other countries that my phone cannot scroll.
Hello, everybody. So, good to have you. We're moving on because this was also the sign for moving on. But we're so happy to have you here. I'm going to go to the next team. We have 2 more to go. Team Mirai, first their teaser.
Mi smo spremni.
Tuko tayari. Hajime-yo.
Nangalum tayar.
Siamo pronti.
Wij zijn er klaar voor.
We are ready.
Great to have you. I have on the couch Mari. Hi. I have Akhilesh.
Hi.
And Rob Anderweg, who is a program manager for HVA Master Social Work and our partner. But I first want to start with you. What have we seen? I mean, of course, Dear Future, I'm ready. But how does it relate to the project, and how are you ready?
So what we've been doing for the last 5 months is using speculative design as a tool to envision a preferable alternative future for knowledge institutions, focusing primarily on the Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences, which is the HVA. And also beyond, we've been trying to research as much both internally and externally within the HVA and also beyond the HVA with other stakeholders from Amsterdam and also even Japan.
Right.
And yeah, we've gathered our research, we've used different methodologies to do our research, and finally we came up with an opportunity statement with which we tried to imagine what the future could be, a preferable future could be, and we built up a few scenarios based on that. And then you would be able to see the rest if you come to our booth over there.
Oh, just immediately say where it is then.
It's right behind the fringe curtains. That's how you enter.
Okay.
And yeah.
Looks exciting to go through the curtains. Thank you so much. How was the experience for you? If you look at the team perhaps, or working with the partner.
I mean, everyone was from different countries, and then everyone had really different backgrounds, which I didn't have so much experience in because I did my bachelor's and my master's, everyone is studying basically the same thing, right, in your own environment. So it was really, really cool to work with different people, with different backgrounds. And yeah, with the partners, they also brought in different concepts and stuff. Like, for example, Rob was really interested in using the city as a learning playground, and then we really used that, and it was really amazing way to look at education in that way, because education shouldn't just stay in one place like a knowledge institution. It should be much broader. It should invite other people to join in, because everyone has different kind of knowledge, and we should respect that.
Nice. So that's our future.
Yes.
Yes. Rob, this is a night bridge to you. Thank you for being our partner, of course. And you have been, of course, working with lots of teams, I think, in your career already. Also here at the HVA, at the university. How was this team different? Can you think of something?
Well, I can say it was a pleasure and it was an honor to work with those students. Not because they are sitting beside me, but it was really inspiring, because the group itself was very diverse, and also the methods and the way they are looking, the perspectives was also very diverse, and it was very inspiring. So I worked a lot with groups, and I was very impressed by the way you can look, or you can use all kinds of design methods to explore, in my case, how does the future education looks like in 2030. It was not a traditional way of looking at scenarios and trend analysis, but it was really looking at what we call what is a rich and inspiring learning environment. And it can be here in this kind of buildings we are looking at, which is very inspiring, I will think, the coming years, the online, but especially how does the city as a learning environment looks like. And they were very creative in looking in all ways of what's the kind of learning in the future, how does it look like, but also what are the kind of stakeholders and partners which we need to make this learning environment possible. which is inspiring and which will be rich. So I was very impressed and very inspired by the way of looking with those students. Yes.
So let's zoom into that inspiration and to end with. So 2030 is actually around the corner, right? So
yes.
What's the one thing that we need to do now or change in the next year so that it becomes possible for knowledge institutes like ourselves to change?
I think one of the we should collaborate with other partners with the way that we with our own expertise from all people who are have educational backgrounds. But we look at the society with all kind and diversity of learning processes take place there. So we should use those knowledge of other people, common people, people of other direction, artists, designer, directors, all kind of people. Those kind of learning processes we should combine. That's otherwise we would be very kind of no, I don't know the words. Centric. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on stage. Big round of applause. Yes, thank you. I'm gonna call in the next team and the final team, Team I. Let's have a look at their teaser. So Hadid, welcome to the couch. So what we saw online studying, which is of course such a big theme. You were here as one of the first groups again to come up and occupy our space once again.
Yeah.
So we did it of course online like many other educational programs as well. So how was for you again that transition? Probably you also were online before.
Yeah, I was online. I have to say, like this project was so huge because in past 2 years, because of pandemic, everything changed, and it was so important for students with their stresses, and they want to be in physical spaces to study with their friends at the library everywhere. So it's very important for them, and it was important for us. So it was fun to work on something like this and make some changes for students for the future. And I'm happy that I was a part of this project. And most important than that is like when you're studying, you want to have fun. Yeah. So we try to be funny with our project, with our user testers, and with people around here. And I, as a people person, I try to make fun of everything. It was a great experience. Really, they know me like making fun of everything, even myself. So it was a great experience with our clients, our partners, with Jeroen. Dimitrios is not here. I have to say that Dimitrios helped us a lot, and we are happy that we are here. We are making some changes for the future.
Wonderful. This is a great... You also sound like a serious guy, throughout all the fun.
When it comes to the serious part, yes, but but
fun is fun, serious. Okay, good. Samira, how was it for you?
I think the project was really digital experience oriented, so it was fun to kind of work with the students and their real problems, which was how to bridge the gap between physical and digital, which is so different, it's so vast, the whole experience is different. And also because we experimented with technologies because our client kind of went ahead with it. and we had so many technologies to experiment with, which are our prototypes right now, which everyone can just play around with at the end. We are next to the bar.
Yeah, the best place for the party. You can join us. Let's have a dance and party and have a drink.
Play some games, guys.
That sounds like a good reason. There's the fun again. So I only wrote down that I could have Sophie on the couch, but who? Sophie and
That's me. Yeah, this is Iris.
Iris,
Yes.
welcome. You're both
Yeah.
from the University of Amsterdam
Yeah.
Library. How was it to work with this team? Was it only fun, or was there also some serious insights that you got from it?
Well, both, I guess. And it was very inspiring. We were constantly surprised by what they came up with, and also how fast they did it. So we were like, how did they do it again? And then they come up with something different, something very much out of the box. So the way they were open to experiment with all those things. So because it takes a lot of courage, right? You have to be ready to throw everything away, start over. So yeah, we were very surprised and really impressed by that.
Is that also something you bring along in your professional career, perhaps?
Absolutely,
Yeah?
yes. And also, I think for our organizations, it's very important to have that space. So to have a space for this experimental part where you don't know what it will be, what the outcome will be.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that similar for you, Yildiz, or would you highlight something else?
Well, it was quite similar to me also, and also if I project it on my own working ways, is the creativity that comes under the time pressure they have. I don't think I can manage that because they have like 1 or 2 weeks where they really have to push really hard, and then things explode, and a lot of new designing things or research methods are coming, floating. And like Sophie also said, really surprising, and really happy.
So what has the partnership brought the organization? You mentioned the organization already. Do you see that, that it doesn't really just dissolve after everybody leaves? How would you say you can bring something into the organization that is from this project that sticks?
I would say also the trust in this way of thinking and inviting people to experience with it, or learning by doing. I heard someone said that. I think that's very important, and then the possibility to do that, I think that's very important for our organization to facilitate that.
Well, let's get back to you in 1 year, and then hopefully there's something that changed. And thank you so much for being on the couch. And they know where the bar is, huh?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Okay.
The party space.
Thank you, team. Hi. So, without further ado, I think it's time to close this off. Are there any things from the audience online?
I have one more response from Emmanuel. He has been really thinking about the impact of conflicts on global development, specifically as it affects people and our planet. He envisions a world where there could be sustainable post-conflict reconstruction, not just for refugees and migrants scattered across different countries facing discrimination and different levels, but also for ecological services. It's also very relevant.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, we're almost going to say goodbye to them, so already see you soon, online audience. It's time to open the expo. We have heard, of course, where the exposition takes place. This is the space where we can have drinks also. So perhaps, we will be running around taking chairs, and then here you can have a dance or something else on the music that we're going to put. It's also time to celebrate the work, of course. So not only are you perhaps interested in the work itself, the transformation that you see through it, but also the people. We heard the word people and reference to people many times already on the couch. I would say that it's all about the people, and it's also for the DSS very important. The people, the community is everything. So also, get your contracts out and hire these people because they're amazing. Yes, come on. Big round of applause. Yeah, they are. Yes. I just want to thank everybody from the DSS to make this work. I mean, this is a program that is just not being done by without people. So a lot of people are involved, but specifically Irene, who is the driving force of the program. Mr. Jeroen at home with COVID also. And of course, Shadine and Ivy also for Showcase crew. We did a great job, I think. And then I can mention 20 other names, but obviously you should just visit them and meet them over drinks. But everybody in the DSS, program managers, digital transformation designers, the coaches, everybody who is involved, the instrumentalists, they work really hard the whole year through. We work over hours, you might say. So yeah, thank you for that. I think we can be proud. Let's just, yeah, yes. And okay, I promise that was the final one, because now it's time for drinks. Enjoy this wonderful journey that we did together, especially to the partners also. You learned so much, I just heard, and I also want to learn from you back. So enjoy. This was the showcase, this was the talk show, and now the expo is opened.